Greetings, friends. A few months ago, I read a few lines from a Rumi poem that have stayed with me, and I'll read them for you. Do you think I know what I'm doing? That for one breath or half breath, I belong to myself? As much as a pen knows what it's writing, or the ball can guess where it's going next. As much as a pen knows what it's writing, or the ball can guess where it's going next. I love the sense of unknowing abandon and playfulness in this poem. The image of a pen being held in the divine writer's hand over a blank page is a beautiful image with the infinite possibilities of creativity that can flow from the moment, from this moment. And this links for me with a quote from Thomas Merton. You do not need to know precisely what is happening or exactly where it is going. What you need is to recognize the possibilities and challenges offered by the present moment and to embrace them with courage, faith, and hope. Jesus described this as only being able to do what he sees the Father doing in John 5, verse 19. But rather than this being some kind of puppet with restricted movement, there's an utter freedom in this, a freedom to respond to the moment as it is, with the limitless possibilities of creativity that flow from this open moment, to allow life and love to flow freely through us from the source. And this involves being willing to let go of our preconceptions about what should or ought to happen, but more deeply to let go of our constructs about God, self, and other. There's a much bigger picture and cosmic time scale going on than we can even begin to imagine. As much as a pen can imagine the poem that it is being used to write. Often what prevents us from flowing freely with the possibilities of the moment is our resistance to the isness of the real. With our limited perspective of how the script should play out, our disappointment that it hasn't turned out the way we wanted it to be, that we're not who we thought we should be, or acting how we think we ought to. Much of this is because of the limitations of our past conditioning, our cultural and religious perspectives, and our attempts to keep shaping things the way we think they should be shaped. And that's influenced by our stories about ourselves and others. And all of this keeps us encaged, trapped in repeated patterns, like a pen getting pulled into writing the same old stale words, or like a pencil that falls into the grooves caused by what was written on the previous page. Anthony de Mello describes faith as an openness to the truth, no matter what the consequences, no matter where it leads you, and when you don't even know where it's going to lead you. He says that's faith, not belief, but faith. Your beliefs give you a lot of security, but faith is insecurity. You don't know. You're ready to follow, and you're open. You're wide open. Wide open. Eckhart Tolle described that if we are comfortable with not knowing and relax out of thought, then we will be in touch with the source. He calls this a voluntary disappearing act, where you are just present in and to the moment without a story. That's utter freedom. And Rum does put this so well. He said, anytime you walk into a situation and you have a model of who you are and who you aren't, it stops the flow. He also describes a level of consciousness in which social action that flows from it truly liberates humankind. For it is a level of awareness from which actions are manifest that have no clinging, not even clinging to the effects of the act. And then he went on to say, you are right here now. The new existential moment is now. It's always the beginning of things. Always. I'll repeat that. Those last few sentences. You are right here now. The new existential moment is now. It's always the beginning of things. Always. Many of us on this contemplative journey are in the second half of life, or later in the journey. And we are at or near the ending of a lived history with all the pain and beauty that has been. And we are at the beginning of things. While not negating or denying what has been, the invitation to us here and now is to allow this to be the beginning of something. A pen on an open page in the hands of our beloved poet. This kind of freedom to flow with divine isness and possibility requires a deep trust and surrender. And I've just been at the Contemplative Outreach National Conference, where Mary Dwyer was the speaker, and she spent many hours with us in the practice and reflection on the welcoming prayer. And this prayer is a reminder to trust that whatever is arising in this moment is for our own healing and ultimately for the healing of the world as this ripples through us. And I'll go through the steps of the welcoming prayer with you. The first movement involves feel and sink into what you are experiencing this moment in your body. The second movement, welcome what you are experiencing this moment in your body as an opportunity to consent to the divine indwelling. And movement 3, let go by saying the following sentence. I let go of my desire for security, affection, and control, and I embrace this moment as it is. This welcoming prayer is not about dampening our responses to the moment. In this practice, we are encouraged to welcome whatever is arising, even our resistance to what is. You can just take the welcoming deeper and deeper. Whatever is arising is, and our task is to show up for it, to make room for it. Or as John Kabat-Zinn describes it, to put out the welcome mat for it. For us to be instruments of God's peace, as St. Francis prayed, it begins with our willingness to flow with this, in service of this, all underwritten and sourced in love, for love, In this deep surrender to the vast, the mystery, the unknowable, and the all-embracing, we find a new and profound freedom to always be at the beginning of an unforeseeable creative expression. What a gift, what an invitation. May we be open, trusting, and surrendered.